What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another live stream. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We are more than halfway to fight night or fight morning, depending on where you're at in the country.
Early morning.
Fight night, Singapore. Yeah, for us, it's going to be 4 a.m., Johnny.
Yeah, crazy.
Max Holloway versus the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung. Featherweight main event, potentially 5 rounds with our co-main event, Ryan Spann versus Anthony Smith, the rematch at light heavyweight. So there's a really fun slew of cards among these 13 fights. I can't wait for it, man. I'll be up bright and early. Just the pure adrenaline rush from having money on the line, it will get me out of bed before my alarm clock even does the job for me, I'm pretty sure. Are you excited for this card, Johnny?
I am excited. Unfortunately, though, I will be out of town. I will be on a canoe trip, so I will not be able to watch these fights live. But I will check my phone when I get up, and I will see how many bets I won or lost and see where we're at.
I imagine you on a canoe in the middle of a lake somewhere remote. You got like the old school radio, and you're pulling the antenna as high as you can, trying to get Michael Bisping's dumbass commentary. That happened to me last week. Was that last weekend or the weekend before? I was up north working a job at a festival. One of my friends was putting on a 3-day festival in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere, and I was doing security just as a favor. But I had one earbud in. I was standing in a spot where I got like 1 bar of reception, and I was listening to it like an old man listening to a baseball game on the radio. Dude, that is so stressful.
Doing a score.
When you got money on the line, dude, that is so frustrating because the commentary, you don't realize how bad they are sometimes. When
because you're trying to picture it.
The R bar, it's locked in. No, it's out. It's like, calm down with it,
DC is the worst. He's like, oh, he's hurt. It's hurt.
Yeah. You have so many mini heart attacks when you're hearing the audio. It's craziness, but luckily I will be in attendance to watch it. I'll be sweating out the bets in your honor this week. But
thank you.
From a betting perspective, I do like some spots here. There are a lot of wide favorites, but still some ways to attack the card. So hopefully we agree on some things. Haven't watched your content yet, but yeah, man, PFL 9 happening right now. So I'm sure that'll have a lot of people watching the replay of this. But overall, I can't wait to see Max Holloway get back in there. It's always I wonder if this guy's going to put on a record-setting performance. He owns like every record at featherweight for most significant strikes. I think he's got
by
like
far.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place all go to Max Holloway. So we'll see how many shots Chan Sung Jung can survive in this one, or if he can spring the giant upset in Singapore. But yeah, man, without further ado, we can start with the prelims. But shouting out the chat real fast. Of course, our guy Mushroom is in the chat saying, "What's up, Patrick? What is up, Johnny?" And the two of us. Simple arithmetic, man, equals money. That is just basic math. Smash that like button. Thank you, Mushroom. Thank you very much. I'm sure you're going to be going live tomorrow after Johnny and Cody, I think, is usually your time slot there. So everybody go check out my guy, Mushroom MMA. Ryan Jordan in the house as well, 2 of the best in the game. I assume everyone's been adjusting sleep schedules to Singapore time, right? Going to be a killer card. Yeah, I might have to. I'm usually going to bed around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. But I told my girlfriend I'd be up early, far before her. I'll already have breakfast made for us by the time the prelim card is done. So
you'll either be in a good mood or a bad mood at like 10 a.m.
Right, exactly. Just start your day just down $1,000. What is up, BC Dave? Saying what's up, MMA homies? Good to see you, brother. Tyler 138 MMA. All right, guys, I'm here, but I'm watching PFL at the same time, so I missed a few.
Right on.
I assume that. I didn't know that they were going to go live on a Wednesday night.
Why are they on Wednesdays? They're usually on Fridays. There's nothing happening Friday.
I know. Maybe they assume that we're all going to be going to sleep to watch the UFC in the morning.
Maybe they got a canoe trip too. I don't know.
Maybe they're all going to be canoeing with you. Yeah. All right, we can jump into the first fight of the night, which is actually a pretty fun one at featherweight. We got Sungwoo Choi taking on Jarno Errens, a battle between 2 strikers here. The Korean Sungwoo Choi we've seen in the UFC several times. He's gone 3-5 in the promotion, and he's riding a 3-fight losing streak currently, getting knocked out at the end of last year by Mike Trizano. And before that, Josh Kulabau. They fought to a very close decision loss for Sungwoo Choi. And Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres actually sprung the upset on him the time before that. So he's in quite a slump, but dude's a powerful striker, good Muay Thai. But, Jarno Errens is a Dutch kickboxer himself with some pretty good ground skills. But we just don't know a lot about how Jarno Errens competes against the the higher level competition in the UFC. He dropped his debut against William Gomez last September, and he almost locked up a nice triangle choke at the end of that fight too. So the guy does have legitimate grappling skills if you watch his regional footage. And I'll kick this one off, Johnny. Like, I do like Yarno Errens as an underdog in this spot. I see a lot of defensive holes in the game of Sungwoo Choi. The guy has a lot of bad tendencies striking wise. Like, he drops his hands, keeps them kind of low. When he gets hurt and he's on wobbled legs, he just rushes forward and tries to get one back, and usually makes things 10 times worse for him. And that's what happened against Mike Trizano. So somebody with a nice sniper-like right cross of Yarno Errens, I think, will catch him pretty early in this fight. I got it on Sunday night or Monday morning at plus 180, just putting 3/4 of a unit, 0.75 units on Yarno Errens. Not going too big. I'm just kind of gambling on the hope that this guy is, a UFC caliber fighter that will make a better appearance in the second spot here. So do you find yourself on the side of the underdog with me, or are you on Sungwoo Choi to right his wrongs?
We are on the same page with this underdog. I like Errens as well. I was a little bit higher on Choi until who did he fight? It was in the middle, not Trizano. Who was that one before that? Kulabau. So after that, it was a very close fight. And then the Trizano fight hit, I should say. And then if you're getting knocked down and almost getting knocked out by Mike Trizano, like, there's something wrong. And that's like the biggest red flag for me. And I'm not saying Errens is like the biggest knockout guy either, but neither is Trizano. But Errens does have pretty good striking, good kickboxing, like you said. He's durable. He likes to push forward. And that's like all the things that Choi doesn't like. He doesn't like people pushing him back. And he does have defensive striking laps here and there. He gets rocked a lot. He can get dropped. And I'm not saying he'll get knocked out in this fight, but he could be winning a round clearly. And then it just needs one shot for Errens to knock him down, and then he's going to lose that round. So I can't trust his chin to win this fight either. So I'm going to pick Errens to, come out. It's going to be a fairly close fight, I think, but I'm going to go with Errens to win by decision here. But I just can't trust Choi right now in this little 3-fight skid. I know he's fought decent guys, but the Trizano fight did it all for me. It really did. Like, I can't. I have to see improvement from that. He's on the decline now.
He certainly is, and it's just finding ways to lose as well. Like, I think now that I'm thinking back, I bet on Sungwoo Choi every single time. I'm pretty sure. At least I had.
I bet on him
against Alex Caceres for sure. I remember that.
Yeah, I did for sure, and then I stopped betting him after that. But I bet the over in the Trizano fight, and I lost. I think I lost. Yeah, I lost that one, and I'm like, that was a guaranteed over, but no, because Trizano just felt like knocking him out because Choi was being stupid.
Yeah, it's he's just finding ways to lose, and he does have the home court advantage here, being closer to his region. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of, and I just wonder if that like crowd energy in the Singapore stadium is going to sort of make him want to have a more exciting fight as well.
True.
And I know a line of reasoning here is like, well, he's got the guy Sungwoo Choi is the guy with like more offensive wrestling proven so far. He does wrestle from time to time, but I don't think it's going to really enter that arena. And if he does, like I said, there's some dangerous, dangerous tools in the mat for Yarno Errens too. So I like the unders, the under 2.5 at minus 120, but I could see this sneaking over. I just think it should be a violent way to start the card. You know how sometimes the first fights of the night, they try to warm up the crowd with some action. So I think it is going to be Yarno Errens plus 650 to plus 700 on the KO prop for him too. If you can get that done, time that left hook that Sungwoo Choi is always hunting for, and catch him slipping. But yeah, we can Pink Floyd in the house with his up, saying he took Friday off work and has a whole plan for how he's going to stay up all night to watch, probably in bed an hour before it starts. Yeah, man, that's the way to do it. Towards the end of the year now, I've got a lot of vacation days where I'm just going to be popping, Mondays, just like maybe from November through December, just take all the Mondays off and just have extended fight weekends, actually be able to sleep for once doing tapes.
Usually what I do too. At the end of the year, I take like a lot of Fridays off or something just to have Friday off.
That's the best. Just push that vacation time as far into the year as you can. What is up, my friend? Bieber Gio saying good day, everyone, all the way from the Philippines. What is going on, my friend? Good to see you, Bert. We got Daz File saying he's on Errens as well. Man, if Daz is on an underdog, I feel better now. All three of us are on it. So
let's go.
Yeah, Johnny's been a little harsh to Mr. Mike Trizano, dude. Jeez, have to do him like that.
He's not in the UFC. He's not in the UFC. So throwing it out there, Tyler. But we were right. We were right about JP Bots.
Dude, didn't Mike Trizano have a pretty good mullet in that last fight too? How'd they cut him after
I think
that?
he did. That double knockdown though was amazing, I will say.
That was nice. They both looked very confused and they're getting back up to their feet.
They're like, wait, what?
Yeah. It's very hard to look tough after something like that happens. What is up, Brooks? And let's get it, guys. Good to see you in here. Thanks for taking time away from the PFL action to break down fights with us. And we find ourselves in the first underdog of the night. Agreeing. I'm surprised here.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to give me a lot of shit about that one.
No, I don't give you shit, Daddy.
You save that for tomorrow's show with
Yes.
Cody. That's when Johnny K. Trolls comes out.
I didn't even watch Cody's yet, so I don't even know who he's on. I think I'm going to wait.
Yeah. Just pick Parker.
Usually I do my research a little bit beforehand so I can get my stuff ready.
Get all your bullet points to just dismiss everything he's confident
on. Everything that he does not like, I got this. I got a bullet point for this.
Exactly. All right, brother, we can move along to a very fun fight on the card. We got a women's flyweight bout between Na Liang and JJ Aldrich. This will be Na Liang's third walk to the UFC cage. She is 0-2 so far, getting finished in both of her appearances so far, but she is moving up a weight class now. She's usually been a strawweight fighter. She's now moving up to flyweight, taking on JJ Aldrich, who's coming off of a loss, one where she dropped the ball as a big favorite against Ariane Lipski over 3 rounds, unsuccessful getting the fight to the mat, and just got striked up in that fight. So, I mean, what can you say about Na Liang, this Chinese fighter? She's got a pretty padded record. Usually just tries to dive at her opponent's legs, get the fight to the mat, and try to seek some early submissions. But if that fails, I mean, she's going to get punched in the face, taken down herself, ground and pounded. She's got 100% finish rate in all of her wins, and she's been finished quite a few times as well. And any worthy opponent of like a big stage like a UFC or a Bellator or Invicta, they've all beaten her. So I don't really see this going too well for Ms. Na Liang here. But on the flip side, at least in her defense, JJ Aldrich is not that dangerous. She hasn't gotten a finish since like 2016. So if we're looking at the money line, it's been pretty wide. It's been bet down a little bit. We got minus 550 on JJ Aldrich. Na Liang is plus 400. Break this one down for me, Johnny. Is there any way to play Na Liang here? Do you have any faith in her at this new weight class?
I mean, the only thing, if you want to play Liang, it's first round finish. That's it. I think she's only got 1 round of cardio. And then after that round, if it gets out of the first round, she's going to gas. So I'm not saying Aldrich, like you said, she's not the greatest finisher or anything, but she's durable. I think she can survive. And then she's going to put on a pace and probably knock out Liang. And it's going to be her first finish in like 45 years. So I do think Aldrich should win this fight. I mean, Aldrich has made some questionable decisions as well in some of these fights that she's took, but I just don't see how Liang wins this fight. I really don't, unless it's like something fluky, real quick knockout. Like her striking's not even that good, so it needs to be like a quick takedown, maybe a quick arm bar or like ground and pound. But like I said, Aldrich is tough, durable. So, and she has pretty decent takedown defense too. And I think she will be like the bigger. Let me see the height on both these. I think they're about the same height. Yeah. So, I mean, I got to go with JJ though. I don't have the only bet that I would do is the under 2.5. I think that's a pretty solid bet. I don't see how this fight gets to round 3 one way or another. So that's the only play I would do on this one. Or if you want to go crazy, round 1, or you can even go crazier and do Aldrich inside the distance, but just play the under.
Yeah, I took the under 2.5 at just 1 unit investment on this sketchy fight. I took it at minus 185, and
I think it.
Bet online right now is minus 182, so they have adjusted it. You can some crazy individual played the over slightly enough to move the market down. No, plus 1,800 for Na Liang round 1 sub. I think that is her win condition. Really, she catches an armbar.
That's worth a sprinkle.
I saw her try to attempt an armbar on I think Ariane Carnelossi in her first fight. And it was one of those things where like somebody in the commentary booth said like, "Oh, that's tight," and it was not a tight armbar at all. Like Carnelossi slipped out her arm like a wet noodle out of a plate of pasta. Like it was like not locked in one bit. And they're like, "Oh, that's tight."
Well, Carnelossi's arms are like freaking massive. Yeah. There's no way she's going to be able to control that arm.
Right. So yeah, now Liang should get stopped here. It's just a matter of how, right? Like I'd rather her almost have a really good moment early in the first minute, because that would mean at least she's working and burning
True.
herself out. You know, if she's timid, who knows if this ends or not. But
Yeah.
I think JJ Aldrich gets her first submission here. I'm going to call a round 2 submission
Okay.
from JJ Aldrich. I
I
think
like
she gets
that.
it done. I went back and I actually dug deep to 45 years ago when JJ got her finishes. And I saw one of them was, you would like this girl. Back in 2016, she fought somebody, and the girl was wearing a wrestling singlet with a cat on it. It was like a kitten on just a big bold print on her singlet. And JJ kneed her in the ovaries and basically like finished her in round 1. So that was one of her stoppages back in, what was that one? This is a long time ago. It was the Rose Acevedo back in 2015.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw her other one where she got a stoppage in round 1, and I could only find a slideshow presentation of it on Facebook where it was like somebody taking pictures, and you could almost see the finish happen. It was like head kick, got the mount, attempted a choke, got the back mount, TKO'd her with punches. It was like somebody showing me like a PowerPoint of their vacation,
Yeah. This is what happened. See, this is next.
Yeah.
And then he fell.
So I really had to do some digging to find out when the last time was JJ finished the fight. It's amazing how much she's gotten by at a decently high level here, just getting decision wins and just, having good cardio, boxing up people, taking them down, doing nothing with it, so I don't know. There's a few people on this card, dude, like a lot of male fighters too, where it's like nothing really outstanding about this guy, but he's got decent cardio for like the lower end of the division. And that's why he might win the fight. So
exactly,
we're on the same side at JJ Aldrich. Pretty sure she gets it done inside the distance.
Yeah, she should.
Under 2.5. Yeah, nothing more would. I know our guy DFS by the numbers. Our guy Brady is just singing praises for Na Liang, just trying to like sacrifice small animals, trying to get anything for a Singapore win for his girl, but I don't know if it happens. Yeah, Pink Floyd. JJ's got to go for the finish. She just doesn't. She shows no aggression. I only saw her attempt one submission. Can you think of any time she's attempted a finish? I saw her attempt a guillotine on Courtney Casey. That was about it. That's all I can remember happening.
Yeah, I can't even remember, to be honest. Yeah, that was a while ago. I think I watched like maybe the last 3 or 4 fights of hers. I didn't get the Courtney Casey.
Yeah, you pretty much get the gist of her by.
Yeah, I mean, watch a couple. You're like, oh yeah, I remember now. Okay.
Yeah. She just like did like a jab, cross, jab, leg kick, jab, cross, and she won. Cool. All right.
She looked really good against Aaron Blanchfield, and then all of a sudden looked like crap the next time.
That is true. I'm glad we're on the same side of that one. That would have scared me if we weren't, but maybe we'll be on opposite sides of this one. I see this is a highly contested bout on the Twitters. Welterweight bout between Yusaku Kinoshita and the only debuting fighter on this card, Billy Goff. These are two guys that both scored knockouts on the Contender Series last year to earn their contract. And we saw Kinoshita make his debut earlier this year against Adam Fugit, and he got stopped by ground and pound in round 1. Billy Goff is a guy who made his appearance on the Contender Series, had to dig deep and come back after getting rocked and dropped by a high kick early in that fight, and then got the standing TKO stoppage on Smitrowski in round 1. He's coming off of a double knee surgery, though, earlier this year in February. He had meniscus tears that he sustained at some grappling contest, and so he's been laid out for that. He had 2 knees operated on, so he's coming back, making his debut, flying quite a distance to do so. And, the guy is not really that impressive to me altogether. Like, he's got that nice grit about him that you like to see, where it's like he can sustain damage early and then come back swinging and make it a close-range brawl, show some well-rounded skills, getting takedowns and things like that. But overall, dude, like, I think a guy like Kinoshita can just, range find him pretty early, snipe him off, and probably finish the fight. So that's the way I've gone with it. I am taking Kinoshita to win, and I do have a money line bet on him just to win 1 unit in return. But I do like the unders, no matter how you paint this one. I don't think it sees the scorecards. But do you have some faith in Billy Goff here making his debut?
I do, actually. I mean, I think Kinoshita is very good. He's a very slick striker. He's got good strikes, really quick strikes, really good counters. But he needs to make the fight. It has to be like a nice and clean fight. Once somebody is pushing him back or tries to go for takedowns and makes this dirty, like a dirty boxing fight or grappling, anything like that, We saw in a few good fight, like he kind of doesn't know what to do after that. And like he just knows I want to strike, I want to push forward, and I want to counter. But Goff is going to push forward and he's going to either get takedowns or he's just going to go for it. And he may get rocked and he may get knocked out for doing it. But I do like that about him because that's how you beat Kinoshita at this stage in his career. I mean, both guys are they're young. They only had about 10 or less fights. So I think Goff can get this one done just by pure grit, durability, toughness, and power. Like just push through. He might get rocked, hit once or twice, but if he keeps pushing forward, I think he's going to be able to crack Kinoshita and get the takedown maybe, and then control him there for a while and slow him down. So I'm going to go with Goff here as an underdog pick. This is one of my other underdogs I like here. I got a bet on him. Just one unit, nothing super crazy. I don't want to, throw the whole bankroll at him or anything. I'm not that confident, but I think just the style that he has is the right style to beat Kinoshita at this stage in his career. And we saw it last time. So I think this is another one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way you can go with it. You can say, like, did we learn our lesson last time with Kinoshita? I went the opposite because he was such a big favorite off the Contender Series. And I think Adam Fugit is always criminally underrated. Like, he's a powerful guy with good grappling. So I bet Fugit at like plus 270 to give, that first actual loss. Because he does have one professional loss, Kinoshita, but that was the DQ, which he actually won that fight, really, and lost on a technicality. True. So that was like, I like fading people in their first big spot where you got a well-rounded opponent who's tough. They're being overlooked, and then they go back to the drawing board. We're seeing a couple of people in the chat saying who is saying Kinoshita training at Killcliff now. He's been there for about a year or so. So hopefully gaining some good some good things there. He's only 23 years old, as Billy Goff is 25. So both these guys could look drastically different. I can't really make a good argument against betting the underdog here at all. The money line where it's at, minus 130 Kinoshita, about plus 110 or so for Billy Goff.
It's been fluctuating back and forth.
Yeah, if you can find an angle on either guy, I don't hate it. I think the unders are a good spot here. I saw who was saying the fight doesn't go to decision. I think that's good. I think it might, because it could be a Billy Goff performance, right? He gets knocked down early. Kinoshita goes in recklessly, and then he burns himself out. Like, the guy's cardio is still a little questionable to me. I know he got a nice round 3 knockout and looked decent in the Contender Series, but still, the UFC is a different ball game. And if a guy like Billy Goff wants to take you down and drown you out with that wrestling, I wouldn't be surprised if my bet burns in flames. So at least one of us will make money on this one. And I'm excited to see both guys. They both have a decent future at 170 probably.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I like the under here too. I think both guys could eat one another out, either one. So I don't see this fight going to decision.
And neither do the odds makers. The under 2.5 is minus 260. So I didn't really notice how heavily juiced that was. I don't know if I would play that one. I would probably take your favorite guy here on the money line or pass. Just because some of these guys you just never know. Billy Goff has he ever been? He's got an 8-2 record. Never been submitted. He's been what? Never been.
Technically it's called a knockout because it was a doctor stoppage after round 1. Okay. So I would say no, but I mean, we did see him get rocked by that left head kick, which was a nice kick. Like, it was sneaky, and that guy was pretty big. These guys are about the same height and stuff like that too. So I think it's a pretty fair playing ground. I think the other guy, who was that guy? Shimon
Smitrowski.
Yeah, but he's not that great. But that was a good head kick, though.
And it was within like a few seconds of that fight happened.
Yeah, I watched that fight. I was like, dang, that was sneaky. And that's the only thing he did the whole fight.
Shout out to Daz Files dropping the $5 dono. Appreciate you, brother, saying the Bedoya Armfield parlay at plus 110.
Ooh, I like it.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Johnny, and the chat. Best of luck. Appreciate you, Daz Files. I think the fights are on at a decent hour for you as well for once. So hopefully you can. I don't even know. The time zones confuse me. So I think that's closer to Daz time, right? Closer to Sydney. Right? Yeah,
I think he's gonna have like a 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock start time.
Nice.
At night.
Yeah. You can have your walk in the park, get your day ahead of you, and then watch some fights to end things the way that we normally do here. I wish that they would have early fights for us on a regular basis too. And it was prime time for Daz more often, to be honest. I like getting it out of the way.
True.
A lot of looking at a lot of Kinoshita love in the house. A lot of people are not too discouraged by his performance. In a loss against Fugit.
He's very talented. Like, he's a very good striker. I just need to see him fight someone like this again, and then I will make my judgment. But going by what I saw in his last fight, didn't really like it that much.
What's up, Cucumber? Good to see you, man. Saying wow. Yeah, I'm saying
What up,
wow
Cucumber?
as well, man. Saying wow. Does it get any better than being a part of these two guys? Great to see you both, dude. It's great to see you, Cucumber. Awesome to have you in here, along with my guy Lou Betya, saying well, two of my favorite jobbers.
What up, Lou?
And this took me out today, man. Terry Funk, amazing legend, hardcore icon, a guy that was part of my childhood. Was watching that guy bleed all over the ring, man, giving it his all in the squared circle. So R.I.P. the Funker. But yeah, I'm with Dookie here saying Goff relies on his chin too much. I think the under 2.5. Yeah, I mean that might be I don't know. It's just that part of like a new guy making his debut. Lou Betya talks about this a lot. And we've kind of learned our lesson with this. When you've got a guy who's never really been knocked out before in his debut, assuming things are going to go the under no matter what is always just a scary proposition until you've got like a pattern of that happening over and over again. But yeah, Daz celebrating the fight set night.
There you go.
138 MMA parlaying the under in this fight, the under 2.5 with the over in the Bedoya fight, the over 1.5
like
there. Hey, I like it, man. He's taking a page out of your book, man. Parlaying a bunch of time props together. I
love it.
I can't wait to hear.
Like 3 of them.
Nice, dude. I can't wait to hear. I love those, man. They're fun. You must have like a little bingo sheet that you're just like circling when they happen. Like, how do you keep track of all of them?
You know, I write down the ones that I like early on, like when I'm doing the breakdowns, and then I see the lines, and I kind of like match them up to try to get plus money, depending on my rankings, how I like them and that. So it's this weird thing.
And it drives Lou Betya nuts. He's like, this is plus 100. This isn't plus 1,000.
He loves my bets. It takes like 8 legs to get plus 100. He loves it.
I just love the dichotomy between like you're more of like you're trying to make it as safe as can be just to win like even money, like, you know, one wager for one wager. And he's like, I need to be getting these giant dogs every time, you know, just one shot and I'm gonna 20 times my money. I just like that dichotomy of like two different kinds of gamblers. It's always fun when they clash on Twitter. But we got
every morning he always like message me. He's like, I hate the way you bet. Hate this. I'm like, I love you too, Lou.
That's amazing. We got another 170 welterweight bout between Kenan Song and Rolando Bedoya, the fight that 138 was just talking about. And we got a guy in Kenan Song who made his return after a pretty long hiatus, and he faced Ian Gary, which was a tall order for him. He was a big underdog. He did have that nice fine moment where he got a big knockdown on Ian Gary in round 1. Got all of us a little bit scared that had the Ian Gary tickets on our slate, but he ended up getting knocked out in round 3 after getting outpaced in that fight. And Rolando Bedoya is a guy who made a very impressive debut as a big underdog against Chaos Williams. Absorbing a lot of strikes, putting up over 150 significant strikes himself in that fight, which is pretty impressive to do at 170. In general in a debut, much less against a guy as tough as Chaos Williams. So losing a split decision that many could argue went his way. And he's a guy out of the shoot to box camp, a Peruvian fighter, only 26 years old. And watching Rolando Bedoya's regional tape in preparation for that fight, I was not impressed. His striking defense does not look very good. He doesn't look, all that athletic for 170, but man, the guy's kind of creepy, honestly. Like, he absorbed so much damage from Chaos Williams and was laughing and smiling the whole time.
Yeah,
I think the guy likes pain, and he's not scared to eat a few to land a few in return. So a solid competitor with his cardio. I think he's going to give a lot of fighters trouble at the weight class. Kenan Song, a guy who's 33, but he's on his way out for sure. Never was a great UFC fighter. The people he's beaten are no longer on the roster, and he really just has the big right cross that he snipes for every time. And if he can't land those big moments, he's probably going to lose the fight, get out wrestled or out hustled or knocked out himself. So I don't have a lot of faith in Kenan Song, but trusting Rolando Bedoya at this price tag at minus 310 just does not seem like a good idea, no matter how impressive his debut was. But do you have any argument for Kenan Song winning this fight? What do you think his path would be?
I think his path to victory would be catching Bedoya here in the first round, and then with that right cross, like you said, and that's about it. Like, I actually like Bedoya. I don't mind the price. I got it a little earlier than what it is now. I got it at minus 280 range. So I could have got it maybe a touch earlier than that, but I waited a little bit too long. But I mean, like you said, Bedoya looked good against his short notice debut against Chaos, and he took some very good shots early on. And if he could take those shots from Chaos, I think he could definitely take those shots from Song. He's going to outstrike Song throughout the fight. He's durable, like we said. He's got good cardio and Song. He's got durability issues a little bit. He doesn't wrestle, so he can't take his fight to the mat. And his cardio fades after the first round. So only thing that he has is that like first round knockout. So I mean, I like Bedoya here to get either like a third round finish or a decision prop. I'm going to look at that when it comes out, but I do have him in a parlay. I think it hits. Like he's going to either get a third round knockout or a decision, like 29-28 or 30-27.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Shout out to A.R. Smith, shouting out legendary ECW. I should have worn my ECW shirt in honor of Terry Funk, but yeah, man, amazing.
Brings back
amazing
a whole lot of memories.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kenan Song, he had his last, I think his swan song was that round one knockdown he got over Ian Gary, and then after that he got outpaced. But really the big red flag was getting knocked out by Max Griffin a couple fights ago.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 years ago. Like Max Griffin's not finishing anybody, and he got flatlined in round one, basically. He basically made Alex Morono look like Max Holloway, just the way he got outpointed in that fight. So I think Kenan Song was one of these guys that was like trying to emerge into that Asian market, and he kind of was just fighting on all of those international cards, getting a few wins against a couple of bums, like Hector Aldana, who never got a win in the UFC, Callan Potter, who I think left the sport after he got knocked out in round one by Song Kenan. So I think he hung around a bit longer than the UFC intended, and at this point, this might be his last
riding out the contract.
Yeah, this might be his last appearance. But Bedoya, I like the guy. Do you think he gets it done inside the distance? You're saying you would call it late or by decision?
I would say third round, because he doesn't really have. He's only had like 4 knockouts in his career. I think he can piece him up, and maybe when Song is a little bit gassed and tired, he can get him out of there in the third round. Because that's what kind of Bedoya did against Chaos. Like he actually got stronger as the fight went on, and he landed more shots as the fight went on. Yeah. Even though he did outland Chaos for all 3 rounds, which was crazy, and I thought he won rounds 2 and 3, to be honest. So that's
sure.
To me, I really thought he won against Chaos, and I was kind of shocked when he didn't. But
no, that's
I won my bet, but
that's a very good point about the cardio of him and getting stronger as the fight goes on. Like he outlanded Chaos 149-130 on the significant strikes, and he landed his best round by far was like 60 plus strikes in round 3 alone. So
yep, landing at a good clip too, like 70%. Like he was not missing.
Right, and shout out to the durability. That's why I'm getting confused, because like the durability of Chaos Williams, he's shown a few times, like against Randy Brown. He showed it in that fight against Bedoya, and Bedoya only having 4 knockouts out of 14 wins on the regional scene. You would look at that and say he's not very powerful, but I mean the shots he was like, those short hooks, man, probably enough to knock out Kenan Song. So I just don't know if I don't know if I have the balls to play the overs and unders in this one. I know the over 1.5 at like -200.
Yeah.
Seems like a safe spot, but dude, it's the Kenan Song side that worries me. Like, what if he catches one and just goes down?
True. That's why I like the Bedoya round 3 or decision, because I'm on Bedoya, so I trust him to get it to. I don't think he's going to be it could be like late second round, but not in the first round. I don't think.
When they give us Bedoya inside the distance at +120, just teasing us, saying take this instead of taking the -300. But I just don't think it's good enough. So yeah, I'll be off of this one. I'll be rooting for Tyler's over 1.5. I'll be rooting for your Bedoya money line, and I'll be staying off of this one. But I think
there we go.
It does get it done. We can move right along to a very fun fight here. Another highly contested one of the closest fights on the money line. Almost a pick'em price tag. Chidi Njokuani versus Mikhail Oleksieczjuk at middleweight. The money line is -105 for Chidi Njokuani, the slight underdog. Mikhail Oleksieczjuk -115, the slight favorite. Should be a fun middleweight bout between 2 strikers who finally don't have an opponent, trying to take them down and stop their striking offense. So, Johnny, you can start this one off, man. Tell me what impresses you about these guys that are both coming off of losses.
Yeah. So Chidi's he is the more versatile striker. He has good leg kicks, good elbows. He's a kickboxer. He's long, he's lengthy. he can mix in some grappling, but he's not going to probably. His cardio is pretty good, but he does slow down with his volume as the fight goes on. And Oleksieczjuk is pretty much a boxer with good power in his hands. He has good body shots with his hands. He works the body with combos, durable. His bugaboo, though, is his grappling defense, but you don't have to worry about it in this fight because I don't think Chidi's going to be grappling. So straight up striking, it's a boxer versus kickboxer here. So now you have to look at the intangibles, and I'm looking at the intangibles here, and I'm seeing Oleksieczjuk. He's durable. I think he's only been knocked out once. He's been submitted a decent amount of times, but I think he's only been knocked out once, if that, maybe even none. Let me look real quick. One time. He has 13 knockouts himself. Chidi's been knocked out like 4 times, I believe. And we've seen some durability cardio issues in his fight against Rodriguez. He slowed down a lot in the Duraev fight. Like he barely threw any punches in the second and third round, which was a bad look for me. And I think if he even does remotely that in the second and third round, Oleksieczjuk's going to take over and work the body and get him out of there. So I'm actually going to go with Oleksieczjuk to win this fight. I think he can survive the first round where Chidi's going to be the most dangerous. And I think as the fight goes on, I think he's going to work the body, just keep pushing forward. And then Chidi might, I think there could be a finish in the late second or third round here too from Oleksieczjuk. So I don't have a bet on this fight. I think this is going to be a very close fight, but something in my gut tells me Oleksieczjuk's going to win this one.
Yeah, this is another one where I'm on the opposite side. I like Chidi in this fight, and I'm, after watching his last fight, kind of have to forgive a few things for Chidi. He seemed very suppressed with his offense just due to like Duraev's, takedown potential and things like that early in the fight. So not really excited about betting him after that one, but I did take him at the minus 105 for 1.05 units to win 1 in return. I think he gets a finish in this fight. Just so many more striking weapons. He'll be quite a bit larger in this one. And I think the pressure of Mikhail Oleksieczjuk stalking forward will just give a lot of opportunities, hopefully, for Chidi to counter and find his mark. He's got just a lot more weapons with the kicks he throws.
He does.
I think that'll start going with the offense. And Mikhail usually has to get things done earlier than later. So I think that'll, just the pressure forward style does because he's got a lot of his fights are round 1 knockouts or he gets knocked out himself under 1.5 rounds.
Yeah, the way I see this fight, though, if Chidi throws a lot of volume early and he doesn't get him out of there, I think he's going to start slowing down. And I think, maybe Oleksieczjuk does not look good in the first round. Maybe he only lands half of what Chidi does. And there's a potential live betting spot there for Oleksieczjuk because I think he's going to turn it up even more. And I just think he's more durable. I do think he has a little bit better cardio. I'm not saying he has the greatest cardio of, the division, but I do think he can push a pace more so. And Chidi does not like being pushed back either. So he's one of those guys where he has to be the one pushing forward, being the aggressor, where he can thrive. And if he just lets them stand in the middle, it's going to be the Duraev fight all over again. So
yeah, the guy's extremely powerful, man. Like, I remember the last guy because I remember betting what's his face, Marc-Andre Barry over Chidi because I'm like, this guy's got a brick for a head. He's not going to get knocked out. And then I couldn't have burned my money faster than 16 seconds of round 1. Chidi knocking him out with that big punch. I feel like that could happen on Mikhail. And Mikhail's fought like a bunch of bums outside of like Khalil Roundtree and Gamzatov.
But he did move down the division. I think he looks better at middleweight.
Yeah, he does. He looks good against Sam Alvey and Cody Brundage so far.
Exactly, it looks great. Fighting Justin Jacoby.
Yeah. I fall in that trap where I can pick apart the record of Mikhail pretty easily, and then even look at distance strikers where he had close decision bouts with like Dustin Jacoby, Modestas Bukauskas, very close split decision there with long distance kickboxers. So I looked at those fights, and I just found myself on the Chidi side. But Chidi seems like a hot and cold fighter. Like, at least with Mikhail, you know what you're going to get a little bit. With Chidi, you don't really know what you're going to get. So I find myself kicking myself for betting him there because I don't always know what Chidi is going to show up.
Exactly. Like, are we going to get the Chidi that, dusted Dushko? Or are we going to get the guy that didn't do anything in 2 rounds against Duraev?
Like, see, this is also influencing This is also influencing my decision here is Tyler, because Tyler, he's a kickboxer. He's a professional man, and
all right, Tyler.
You give me a kickboxer versus a boxer. Who's got more weapons, right? This is like putting my guy Tyler in there against like Butterbean. It's like Tyler's gonna mess him up,
But if Oleksieczjuk pushes forward and Chidi can't kick, then it's gonna be a boxing fight. Negate those kicks. Possibly. Negate them.
That's why it's a fun fight. This is why it's an evenly priced, pretty much pick 'em price tag either way.
This line is like right on. Of all the fights, this fight's right on. It can go either way. Whoever you like, what style you like, what do you like the intangibles, like whatever.
Right. Wait a second. Who sounds more manly in the post-fight press, the post-fight interviews? Who's got the manlier voice, Chidi or Mikal? You know what Chidi sounds like? Chidi sounds like, dude.
I don't think I remember him. Oh, he does have like the lowest voice ever?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm okay. Yeah, you're right. I do remember he's like, I can barely understand what he's saying. I'm like, what?
Yeah, dude, he sounds like it's like if Don Fry and Vin Diesel had a baby. That's like the voice that they would produce. Chidi's voice. So yeah, we can. Oh, and I forgot this comment earlier. Pink Floyd saying, haven't heard anyone talk about the travel impact. Dude, it's just like I don't know how to handicap that. You know what I mean? Like I know that it's a long flight for some people, longer than others, but I don't know how that affects people. I don't know when they got in. So if I'm talking about the travel impact on fighters, that's like the last thing I'm just not even betting the fight.
It's the hardest.
Yeah. It's
the hardest thing to try to cap, if you want to say, because like you said, there was guys that flew in like a couple days notice in England one time, it's like, oh my, from Brazil. Right. Like, well, how the heck did you get here, for one? And two, you won?
Yeah. Like that fight that there's a few of those spots that go for sure. It's just hard for me to handicap. I don't really have a good handle on it. If I start thinking about that more and thinking about fighters that came in long distance and track them, but
I don't want that to ruin the way I look at fights. I just want to look at just how they fight. I mean, I do think of intangibles a little bit if I'm really struggling, but I don't know.
Johnny, you're overlooking Chidi's ability to snatch up the tie clinch from boxing rings with those long.
Tyler's on me today. You're on me, Tyler. Jeez, let me go, son.
You're overlooking.
Let me out of that clinch.
Yeah, just wait until we get to talking about some fights where Julian Erosa's involved. You're really gonna piss off Tyler. That's his favorite fighter. Any Action Sportscast Effie in the house, and let's fucking go. Victor,
Effie, did you do your shoey bet?
Did he?
Did you do your shoey bet, Effie?
Oh, he's got to do that this week.
Forgot about
that. From Marina Moroz. That bitch, she lost in round 1. I was on that bet too.
Right to tell you guys.
He did. I shouldn't have gone against somebody with the name Killer in their nickname. That just was that was a bad idea.
He is a killer, dude. And air striking looked great.
Victor, what is up, gangstas? Good to see you in here. Victor J. De Jesus, my boy, my guy Shady in the house, dropping all the emojis. Shouting out Dr. Claw, petting his. You got any cats on deck, Johnny?
No, I shut the door and none of them are in here, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that that's wrong to think about where fighters are from. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to consider everything involved, but I just feel like me personally, if I'm considering these things that like I can't really handicap, then I just should stay off the bet in general. That's just me. I know I was watching Uncle Weezy talking about the fights, and he's always pointing out where these people fly in from and stuff, and that's like a big part of his decision making. So, hey, profitable people like that, they consider it pretty highly. So, nothing wrong with it. Yeah, tapping with 1 second left, 4:59 of round 1. Can't you hold on?
Yeah, that was insane. Won me 2 bets though, so I was happy.
That was some Jamie Pickett type of performance right there, tapping with 1 second left. That was a Magomed,
yeah.
Yeah. Horrible, dude. Who else? There was somebody else I'm trying to think of recently. I think Priscilla Cachoeira against Robertson, too. Remember that?
Okay.
1 second left, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember that. I do remember the submission, but I can't remember what time it was.
She was trying to rake her eyes out of Jillian Robertson. I think she tapped with like 1 second left. So, yeah, a lot of these bumps.
She would.
Can't you pay attention to what the clock says when you're getting your blood choked out of your brain? Can't you people pay attention?
Like you got better things to worry about. Worry about the time.
It's easy. All right. Find ourselves on opposite sides of that. I'm sorry, did you say you had a bet on Mikal?
I did not. I do not have a bet on this fight whatsoever. I think it can go a lot of different ways, but
all right,
slight lean to Oleksieczjuk. I'm not like super confident, but
all right. But maybe we'll be more confident in the next one. Another fight that I could see going a number of ways. Bantamweight bout between the Japanese fighter Toshiomi Kazama making a second walk to the cage, as is the American Garrett Armfield. He also is making a second walk to the cage. But for Armfield, it's his first time at his actual weight class at bantamweight. He did make a short notice debut a while back against David Onama at featherweight, and I say short notice, I'm talking like 5 days notice, maybe up a weight class, held his own against Onama as a massive underdog, but in round 2 got muscled to the mat and choked out by arm triangle in round 2. So Kazama could possibly try to do just that. He's a Japanese jiu-jitsu fighter, good judo skills as well. Garrett Armfield certainly holds the advantage in the boxing with his striking style, but one spot where he struggled is in the grappling. So it'll be interesting to see who can close the distance and engage in their discipline first. Will Kazama, get outstruck and can't get the fight to the mat where he's the best? Or can Kazama start stifling Armfield as this fight progresses and potentially find a submission on the mat? Kazama made his debut last 6 months ago against Rinya Nakamura, got knocked out in like 30 seconds. So
all 30 seconds, debut.
Yeah, no shame there, but he did kind of rush in to close that distance. Both of these guys are very fast starters, so I think this will be fireworks from the get-go. But, will Kazama drag him to the mat, or will Armfield put the mitts on him and keep it standing? That is the question. How do you feel about this matchup, JohnnyKpicks?
Yeah, that is the question, and that's what I literally said in my breakdown. Like, this is an easy fight to break down, but it just depends on what you think is going to happen. If this fight gets to the mat, it's Kazama all day. If this fight stays on the feet, I think it's Armfield all day. But we really haven't seen too much of these guys, like, a lot of tape, if you want to say, against good people. I know Armfield went to the second round with Onama, but super short notice fight, all that stuff. And then because Kazama only had 30 seconds against a killer in the ring. So very hard fight to pick. I actually went back and forth while I was breaking this fight down on my video, but I ended up going with Armfield at the very last second. I do think he's going to have success on the feet. I think Kazama's takedowns aren't the greatest, but if he can get this fight to the mat, he is super dangerous, and he's probably going to get a submission if he gets good control and good positions on Armfield. But that's the thing. That has to happen for him to do that. Armfield just doesn't need that to happen. I think he's going to win this fight. So very close fight. I could see it go either way. I could see a finish from either side here too, or decision. So I'm not betting this fight at all, but I'm going to say Armfield wins this fight, and I'll say by close decision.
All right, yeah, another fight where we find ourselves on opposite sides of the pick here, but I'm not betting this fight. I got nothing on it, but I feel like the money line should be closer. What we're looking at right now is it's closed. It's closed up a bit. Minus 155 for Armfield, plus 135 for Kazama. I saw some plus 150s out there, earlier today, maybe last night. So yeah, I'm going to go with the underdog here. It comes down to the pacing of the fight for me. Like if Kazama can start wearing out Armfield early, I think he can have success and potentially find a finish in rounds 2 or rounds 3 with a submission. But if I think Armfield has that knockout potential in round 1, especially over Kazama, if he approaches range without throwing anything in front of his takedown attempts, I think Armfield could find something nasty early. But Armfield does slow down in the fights. I've seen a lot of times by round 2, his offense is really diminished, and by round 2 or round 3, he's off to getting taken down by guys that have good wrestling. Even in some of his split decision wins against low-level guys, they're able to steal that last round with their wrestling. It's happened a couple of times before. So I got to go with the grappler here. I think he can control it. And Kazama is pretty nasty with his submissions. He does have half of his wins coming by way of submission. And who was that guy on the road to the UFC? He was a big underdog against was it a Hawaiian fighter? Maimati Karamuali, who had that crazy name on the UFC. And he was able to, deal with the striking offense of that guy, who was a strong striker, and take him down and actually grind out a win, I believe, by decision in that fight. And it was as a solid underdog. And he ended up facing Rinya Nakamura when he wasn't the guy slated in the bracket to do so, but still came up short regardless. So, yeah, there's a lot to learn about these guys, man. I want to sit back and look. It's been a while since we've seen Garrett Armfield fight. supposed to take on Jose Johnson in January, and Johnson pulled out, I believe. So, yeah, this is a good test for both guys. If you want to talk about the travel, Kazama's closer to Singapore than Garrett Armfield coming out of, I believe. No, I don't think he's at Killcliff FC anymore, but he's still in the United States training with somebody. So I can't remember. There was a former UFC fighter he was training with that he ended up switching camps to. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, but either way.
Yeah, I just see Killcliff.
I think this finishes. Do you think this finishes you called a decision win for Armfield?
Yeah, I would say decision win, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a finish from either guy.
The over-under is set at 1.5, so you'd like that over.
What's over?
Minus 175 for the over 1.5 in this one.
I wouldn't risk that one.
Yeah, like I said, both guys start so fast that maybe that's what's driving that. There's a lot of fast finishes for Garrett Armfield in the regionals. He had a fast knockout before he made his short notice debut against David Onama. His hands do look pretty crisp. I'll give him that. But what do you think about like the camps too? Like, I don't know much about the camps of these Asian fighters, but I know a lot about the camps and training partners of guys in the U.S. So it leads me to trust, what I've seen in the U.S. because I know the guys that have had success in the United States, but they might be doing good things over there. And I don't know, with the Shanghai PI or wherever the hell they train in Asia. What do you think about that?
I'm just looking at his gym and like the fighters that are in there. I've never heard of them, but 22-6, 20-11, 17-11, 15-9, 14-8. Like these guys are like, maybe they're not the greatest. And even if you look at Kazama's record, like the people he's beating, not the greatest fighters either. So this is just one of those fights. I just think you should just sit back, watch them, gather knowledge. Don't bet on this fight because both these guys, like, they have a lot to prove to everyone, actually, even themselves.
Right. No, totally agree with you, man. So we can be on opposite sides of that. Nobody's doing much with this fight, and
I don't hate you for that one, Patty.
I'm glad you don't hate me, Johnny. That makes me sleep better at night. Before we move on to some heavyweight fights here, shouting out Jenna Marie in the chat saying, man, this motherfucking card starts at 2 a.m. my time. I'm pissed, but I'm still making lineups. Sorry I'm late, Pat. Johnny K, what is up? Good to see you, Jenna. Always happy to have you in the chat. What happened to Rin Nakai, or am I tripping? What was her name? Oh, yeah, Rin Nakai was in the UFC. Do you remember her, Johnny? She was in the UFC like 2 fights and then lost both. Misha Tate, she fought back in the early days of the UFC's women division.
I don't remember.
Super small judoka. I think she was Japanese. I'm not quite sure, but I think she's still fighting today. I'm not quite sure what she's up to. She's got to be old by now, like 40. But yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. She had a giant, like, really impressive record coming to the UFC.
26-2.
Yeah, and then lost both fights terribly, and they cut her.
She's 36 years old.
Okay, man,
she's still fighting. She fought in February of this year and won.
Damn.
Yeah, ever since she left the UFC and lost, she's won every one of her fights.
Well, that's the way it goes, man. You stay out of the UFC, things go well for you. That's what I would do if I was a fighter. I would fight I'd fight in Alaska FC, and probably still lose my fights.
Be a champion there and then get to 30-2.
Get knocked out by Terrence Mitchell for $50 a night. All right. Heavyweight division up next. We got 2 back-to-back fights here. We had a good fight card last weekend, dude, but I was really pissed that there weren't any heavyweight fights on UFC 292. So I'm glad they're making up for it now with some bangers. We got Waldo Cortes-Acosta taking on Lucas Brzeski, 2 guys who don't impress me a whole lot, to be honest. And kind of like we talked about with JJ, I'm going to make a bold comparison here. Remember JJ Aldrich on the prelims? We talked about nothing was really outstanding about her in general, but she had the cardio to last and she had some output to back it up. I feel like Waldo Cortes-Acosta is kind of that type of heavyweight fighter, right? Like he seems to be slowly but surely separating himself from the very bottom of the barrel heavyweights, like Jared Vandera, Chase Sherman, he beat by decision, but that's just because he has the cardio to last 3 rounds. He's got some good boxing output, but really not much else. He's coming off of a loss to Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who chopped up his legs, took him down, and won the fight by decision. Not a really good look for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Lucas Brzeski, pretty tall guy, pretty long, rangy striker himself, but this guy does not have great cardio. and he's gone 0-2 in the UFC as well. So when it comes down to it, man, I got to take Waldo Cortes-Acosta just for the output, the boxing technique, and the cardio. But dude, I mean, where's the money line at? It's getting kind of wild, isn't it? Waldo Cortes. Let's come back down a bit. So a lot of books still have it up there. It reached minus 290 to minus 300 for a bit. Now it's come back down to minus 224. People were probably taking the poke on Brzeski just for that heavyweight volatility, which I don't blame them for. So I think this line is a bit more accurate at minus 225, but I'm still not impressed enough with Cortes-Acosta to like really take a stab on that. What's your opinion on these guys? Do you think Lucas Brzeski could pull off the upset by decision or something here?
I'm going to say no. I like Costa here actually a lot. I have him in a parlay. And I know it's when I say a lot, I like him enough to bet that price because I think 8 out of 10 times I think he wins this fight. Like, and I'm not saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but like you said, he's got the cardio, he's got the volume, he's got decent power. He's going to land some good shots. Brzeski's durable, but his cardio fades. And I know he looked good against Boudet. Probably should have won that fight as well. But I'm going to say that was one of Boudet's probably his worst performance in his career because that was a completely different fighter. If you look at every other Boudet fights, he never looked like that ever. So I don't know if something was up that fight or fight week, or maybe something happened. Maybe he was injured. Who knows? But I'm calling that one an outlier. And I don't want to take anything away from Brzeski because he looked good, but he hasn't looked that good since that either, too. And so, maybe that was just one of those fights where it was kind of weird. But anyways, I like Waldo here. I know the leg kicks are concerning from Brzeski, but is Brzeski going to throw enough leg kicks to get Costa out of there? No. Like Costa like has dealt with what 50, 60, 70 leg kicks in his UFC career. Yeah, they do hurt, but he keeps pushing forward and he never checks them. So that doesn't worry me. You're not going to win a fight with just leg kicks unless you literally knock him out and he can't go on anymore. And I don't see that happening. So give me Acosta here. I think it does go to decision, but it's going to be a clear, decision win for Costa. I think he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Victor. I didn't mean to disparage. I forgot Victor was in here. I would have spoken nicer about his Dominican future champion. I know this is kind of like a national hero for Victor, but yeah, you're right. I think Waldo, could get a finish towards the end of this fight, too. He's got a few late finishes on his record. There was a few spots in the regional circuit where he was able to, just outpace guys. Even fights where he was somewhat losing the first part of the fight, he would just outpace them because those big, sloppy, fat heavyweights, they're not used to going the full. It's a huge advantage
15. In the lower heavyweight division.
You need it, to make it to like to break past the bottom 10 of the heavyweight division, you just have to have good cardio to last over 1.5 rounds.
And durability. He's never been knocked out.
That's step one, So I think the guy did get his chin cracked a couple times in his pro boxing record, but in the MMA, he's been pretty solid so far. That was his first pro loss against Marcos de Lima, right?
Yeah. And that's a good loss. Like, de Lima's better than Waldo for sure. Like, there's levels right there for sure. But here, I think there's at least one level between these two guys, and I think Waldo's better.
Yeah, and the talk of the town, of course, is it's always brought up to the conversation when somebody fails their USADA drug test. Lucas Brzeski, this dirty cheater, dude, he failed it. But he failed it not for an anabolic substance. He failed it for something that you use in conjunction with anabolic substances. So he passed for whatever they were searching for, but he got caught with clomiphene, I believe it was, or maybe another brand name. An anti-estrogen is what they would use along with an anabolic to either come off of it, or if he was getting some sort of water retention or some sort of side effect that he didn't like, along with his testosterone or androgen use, he would use clomiphene. So they started popping people for that back in 2016. So he got caught for that, and he got a no contest at Dana White Contender Series submission win. But it was a submission win that he was kind of gifted anyways, right? Remember, it was that Dylan Potter, the guy's name, who didn't tap. Yeah. I think... Who was it? It was like Mark Smith thought that he tapped, and he was just trying to defend the choke, and he called it. He's like, "You tapped, buddy. Get out of here. You lost."
Thanks, Keith.
So either way, it got no contest for the drug test. But yeah, the guy clearly does not look like he used to before he made it to the Contender Series, and his physique now looks like an average guy trying to weigh 250 something.
It looks like
never looks that good, does it?
No, it kind of looks like Martin Boudet a bit, but worse.
Like it's funny because with the drug testing stuff, like you can't really tell a lot of times when these guys weigh 135, 155, 170. Like these are average human male, body types, right? You can be pretty lean and ripped, substance or not. So you can't really tell when those guys are on things or not. But the heavyweights, man, where they got that leeway of like, you're just not supposed to be 225 to 265 and lean. It just doesn't really work for most people if they're not on something. So it's always clear to tell, like, yeah, this guy looks like Josh Parisian or he doesn't. It's always fun to see in the heavyweight division. But yeah, not a whole lot of potential in the future for these two guys in the division at the higher echelon of it. But still think Waldo gets the job done.
Yeah,
he does it by decision. Where's Mushroom in here to shout out the round 3 decision prop? I think that could be a look here. Yeah.
Yep.
If FanDuel starts dropping their props at some point, for God's sake, they've been slow on it.
Same thing with DraftKings. They're slow as shit. At least they dropped all the over-unders today at once. I'm like, thank God.
Right. I saw
like you're a day behind still, but thank you for dropping all of them at once instead of just like 5.
Right. And to follow this up, we have I think 2 slightly better heavyweights potential-wise in the division. We got Junior Tafa taking on Parker Porter. Parker Porter, at least this guy, again, one of these generalist fighters who can wrestle a bit. He can outpace people. He can box at a decent clip. Junior Tafa making a second walk to the cage. Brother of Justin Tafa. He is a former kickboxer. He was in Glory for a few fights. He's got a lot of kickboxing knockouts, but his MMA career is rather young. And he held his own pretty decently against Mo Usman, honestly. And Mo Usman's a pretty talented wrestler and a very, very strong physical freak at the weight class. Mm-hmm. And Junior Tafa was able to stay on his feet, digging underhooks in round 1, but he got worn out and was taken down in rounds 2 and 3. Lost that decision. But will Parker Porter have that kind of success, to have the ability to take him down? I think it's going to leave a lot of opportunities for Junior Tafa to get the knockout on Parker Porter, who frankly does not have the most polished striking. Like, it is high output and it gets the job done, but I think a slick striker in Tafa, 26 years young, I think he can find that mark and knock out Parker Porter. But am I confident enough to lay even a slight chalk on him at minus 140, minus 150? Junior Tafa.
Come on, Patty. Come on. That's a good line.
Am I confident enough to do it?
I would. I did.
You did. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I like the same thing. I like what you see. Parker Porter, I want to make sure I'm saying the right word here. He's well-rounded, but I think that wrestling is not the same level as Usman, like you said. He's not as strong, especially. And Tafa was stuffing those takedowns early. He's got a good takedown defense, but when he does get taken down, it's hard for him to get back up. But Usman is a monster of a man, and Parker is, one of those men. Just, he's there. I don't want to be mean, but he's not as like Usman. Let's put it that way.
Can you elaborate on the appearance of those two men?
Round and then chiseled. Let's put it that way.
Are you telling me if you don't just keep Parker Porter in like a tanning booth for like 2 days? You're not going to say he looks like Mo Usman when he comes out?
Nope.
Come on.
But yeah, I just think the better striking and more power is going to come from the Tafa side, and I just don't think Parker is going to be able to get him down. And maybe he does one time early on, but after that, I don't think he's going to be able to finish him on the mat. So this might get to round 2, and then I don't see any more takedowns from him. And I think this is going to be a striking fight. And eventually Tafa's going to get the knockout. His brother, Justin Tafa. Yeah, I get those mixed up. Knocked him out in the first round with the left hook or whatever it was. So I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen, but I like Junior Tafa as a better heavyweight. I think he's a better striker. I think he's bigger and maybe not as much power as his brother, but still good power enough to knock out Porter here. So I think Tafa gets it done in first or second round knockout, and I'm pretty confident. I have Tafa in a parlay.
I'm just laughing hysterically, not at what you're saying, but what I just feel like Tyler is doing what you do to Cody on your live stream, where he's just like countering everything you say.
Are trolling me.
I just like how he's saying, dude looked good in his last fight. Like, do you remember who he fought in his last fight? Dude, I'm so pissed.
Dude
I'm
had
so pissed.
what, 60 seconds of cardio?
I'm so pissed Braxton Smith.
Then he got cut right away.
I really thought he would get that knockout. That's how low I'm usually on Parker Porter. I thought like even the guy with any semblance of power, athleticism for a few seconds could knock him out, but it was not to be. It was not to be that night. Poor Braxton Smith. Ugh. But Shady's on your side here with the Tafa ticket.
I think that's a solid line. Solid line. Can't really argue with it whatsoever.
I will say, I know Victor's kind of memeing here with the flying twister, but dude, BetMGM puts out the exact submission props. I wonder what a Parker Porter Kimura would be on that. Like if they drop that as a decent number, I might take a stab on that because I feel like that's something he's gotten before. I think he's gotten either key locks or some sort of shoulder lock on his record.
Let's see.
If he gets Tafa down, I think he will go for it. But
has he got a Kimura Americana?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, just the opposite direction.
Rear naked choke. So those are the 3 submissions he's gotten in his career. Kimura, Americana, rear naked choke.
Yeah. A lot of people are they're kind of on your side here. Like if Tafa does keep it standing, probably going to knock him out. But
yeah,
if Parker Porter can get that huge belly on him.
Is a freaking NFL defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Porter, high school guard. Like, come on, guys.
You're using other sport terminology. I don't follow.
Yes, I'm trying to help everybody out here. Come on, guys.
you gotta put it in MMA terms, or else I'm lost.
Oh, okay. Not a good, better. Usman's a better wrestler, bigger, stronger. Porter's not.
All right.
Sorry. Well, he has the capability too. Let's put it that way.
Well, look, another point of contention is that 38 years old compared to 26 years old for Tafa. I see people talking about this amazing transformation that Parker Porter made in his last fight, going from 264 when he fought. Who did he fight in that? Who was the fight before this? Was it Jilton Almeida? No, Jilton Almeida.
No, it was Justin Tafa.
Okay, Justin Tafa, he was 264. And then people made a big deal that he was now a chiseled at 249 when he fought Braxton Smith. Like, I feel like that was maybe just by accident. Like, at that size, you skip breakfast and like I'm down like 9 pounds. Like, like I weigh 270. If I just don't like drink water for a day, I'm down to 260. Like, it's not that I don't think he looked that much better. I think he does get knocked out here. I think you're totally right, but would I be surprised if I put money on Tafa and then Parker Porter just somehow like just round 2 just sat on him? I wouldn't be too surprised.
No, good. Trust me.
I think it's a big uppercut from Tafa that starts off this sequence. He's got a very nice one, so I think that's one of his weapons he'll use. But yeah, we're on the same side of this one. I'm just giving you something to think about. But you said you got him parlayed up.
Yep, I got parlayed up with the main event.
Oh, nice. All right.
A little prop
Korean
there.
Zombie?
Yeah, Korean Zombie all day.
Nice.
Plus 7,000.
All right. Sean V in the house. What is up, Sean V? The entire universe is on Tafa by KO. Can't be a good sign. This is what I'm talking about, Sean V. This is why I'm not on it yet. See, Sean V brings me back down. He brings me back down to reality here. Yeah, I like this.
A big step. I think it's lateral at best. Maybe even low.
Maybe.
Like Usman, I'm not saying he's amazing either, but he has the better tools to beat Tafa. I don't think Parker does.
Right when you guys had talked to me on, everybody here had talked to me on to Justin Tafa. I'm glad Sean V came here. I'm not even kidding.
Way to go, Sean. I'm talking up the whole fight, and now you just brought him right back down.
No, I appreciate you, Sean. This is what I needed, so thank you. I'm staying off of this one, but good luck to you, all the Justin Tafa backers. Maybe I'll back him next time, but we can move on to the next fight of the main card. Very fun fight. This could headline a fight night card at the Apex any week of the year at this point. Errens Blanchfield takes on Taila Santos. Women's 125. Both have stellar records, and both have employed their grappling pretty successfully in the UFC so far. Blanchfield now 5-0 in her record in the UFC, and Taila Santos 19-2 as a pro, and she's coming off of a very close, highly contested split decision loss last year in Singapore against Valentina Shevchenko, where she used her grappling and almost got Valentina out of there in rounds 1 and rounds 3, I believe it was, with taking the back, getting the rear naked choke attempt. And if it wasn't for that inadvertent clash of heads and swelling up her eye, in rounds 4 and rounds 5. Who knows how that fight might have gone? So
I still think she kind of won, but
yeah, I mean, she probably did. You know, it's I rewatched the fight and I still was like, I don't know how they arrived at the scorecards that they did, but either way, she does not have the belt, and it's been 14 months since we've seen her fight. Erin Blanchfield just fought back in February, defeating Jessica Andrade by round 2, rear naked choke, pretty easily. Walked through Andrade's best punches in round 1, which is very impressive because that was the big question mark, right? Like even on short notice, you know, a lot of women at the weight class, they change their entire demeanor in the fight when in round 1 they eat those big punches from Jessica Andrade, punches that have knocked out lesser women, but Erin Blanchfield took them on the chin and kept moving forward, throwing punches of her own. So, I mean, this is a very, very close fight. And if you look at the money line, it sort of reflects that. I know Erin Blanchfield has been taking some betting love. She's now a minus 140 favorite, plus 120 or so for Taila Santos. I really had to make like a pros and cons list as to, what I was looking at. Like, obviously, with 2 women that use their grappling, you want to see who's the better striker. And I got to go back to Taila Santos as the better striker so far, right? More power in her punches, just more comfortable there on the feet. Erin Blanchfield, I think there's a technical grappling advantage, but Taila Santos probably a physical strength advantage. So there's a lot to unpack in this fight. As far as being a 3-round fight, who do you think gets their hand raised and how in this fight?
yeah, this is a tough one. And I really, like you said, I went back and forth. I thought about everything. I do favor Santos striking a little bit more. I think she's going to have the more powerful striking, if you want to say. But Blanchfield is improving with her striking. We saw in her last fight against Andrade. I was actually shocked that it looked really good, and she took some good shots too. Grappling, maybe you give it to Blanchfield, but we really haven't seen Blanchfield off her back. We've seen her get the takedowns. She's on top and she's dominating. But how is she going to look if, let's say, Santos gets those takedowns and she's on her back and controlling with her wrestling? Because she's got very good wrestling. I think she's stronger, like you said. I think she's stronger, going to have the better top control, more power. Like she's just going to be the bigger fighter, so she's going to have more power. Yeah, it just depends. I know a lot of people are on Erin, and I get it. I'm not blaming anybody, but this is going to be a 50-50 fight, I think. And I think this is a good test for both fighters. Santos looked very good against Shevchenko, possibly should have won. And Blanchfield looked good in all of her fights, finishing all of her last 3 fights, I believe, too. So I ended up going with Santos, though, because I'm looking at it from the striking point of view. I think she's going to land the better shots, the more damaging shots on the feet. And I think Santos can go for the wrestling, offensive wrestling, too, and get the takedowns against Blanchfield and kind of mix up there because Blanchfield needs to get the takedowns in this fight, I believe. And if she doesn't get the takedowns, I think she's going to struggle. I don't want to say a lot, but she's going to struggle in this fight. So I'm going to say Santos does win by decision, probably 29-28, maybe even a split decision. But I see Santos landing the better strikes, mixing in a takedown or 2 with some control time and just staying safe that way. Santos isn't the greatest finisher in the UFC. She has just basically control time and like grappling. But I mean, if Blanchfield does get the takedowns though and starts working her grappling when she's on top, she's very, 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 very good. But Santos is a good grappler too. She's not going to just sit there and get submitted too. So, like I said, this is going to be a crazy fight. But I kept going back to that. Like, is Erin going to be able to take down Santos as she did the last 3 fighters? And I'm going to say no. So, give me Santos by decision. Very close though.
Yeah, I don't mind the thought process there, and I kind of thought about similar things. And I even went as crazy as to like I was jotting down like just side by side, like okay, who have they fought? How much control time for and against? You know, how many takedown attempts? The percentage and all the numbers look great for Taila Santos. They look absolutely amazing, but it comes down to what you said. She's not a great finisher, so she's racking up all this control time. Yeah. Whereas Erin Blanchfield, she's melting people, finishing them. Yep. If you look at use Molly McCann as a barometer, you know, not really a great barometer, but went to decision against Taila Santos, whereas she didn't last very long before getting submitted by Erin Blanchfield in their fight. And I think that's really the decision that I made to back Erin Blanchfield as a pick here, is because she does have that finishing upside. I think if somebody makes this fight look easy, I think it could be Erin Blanchfield. Don't know if it plays out easy for either one, but I think Santos would have to win that grindy type of decision fight, whereas Erin Blanchfield, she could do that too, or she could make it look sort of easy and slice through Santos on the mat. I think when it comes to ways to get the fight down to the ground, I think Errens has more tools there too. I mean, Santos is strong in the clinch, good body lock, takedown, but she really doesn't approach it any other way than that. She's had a couple of spots against some lesser competition, double legs, but I think Blanchfield just has a much wider array of skills to get the fight to the mat. If she ends up on bottom, she can probably find a way to hit reversals, threaten submissions, end up on top. I just think she's a more dynamic grappler here. Now, if it doesn't enter the wrestling field at all, then I think Santos wins the fight. Her striking is better. That's really her first martial art. She's got more pop in her punches, but Errens Blanchfield also has, she's 24 years old. She can improve. We could see another evolution of her in this fight. And all of the outside of the cage nonsense for Santos, where last August you're looking at her not paying some of her family members and coaches and things like that after her title fight. So she's got some court appearances to be made. She's got a long layoff behind her. And I think there's a lot of camp switching too, just because of all that nonsense. So back to what we were talking about with Pink Floyd earlier in the chat. Some intangibles here I'm putting on the side of Errens Blanchfield here too. So ultimately probably going to pass on this fight, but I think Errens Blanchfield wins. I think she's got way more potential, especially you think of how hungry she is coming in here at 5-0. Only one loss in her record to Tracy Cortez by a split years ago. She's on an 8-fight winning streak. She hasn't quite tasted that title challenge yet, whereas Santos is coming on the downside of that, right? She had the heartbreaking moment, losing the title fight in Singapore. She's got to return after 14 months, face this young up-and-comer, and I don't know if she's still going to be as hungry as Errens Blanchfield here. So I'm going to go Errens Blanchfield in this one, but I can see the chat is split. Sean V cannot believe people are on Santos here, whereas our guy Victor De Jesus is on plus 135 for Santos. When you look at it from that point of view, you look at a big plus number like that on somebody who very well in a not too distant universe could be the champion. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
I don't blame you for doing it.
Yeah, Shady waiting for the Santos money line to be a better number. Yeah, it could fatten up as the week. What are we at? Wednesday now? We've got a couple more days before the weigh-ins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of money comes in on Errens right before the fight.
Yeah, she's got a big win streak going. She's the one coming off of a finish win over a former champion at 115. So should be fun. Can't wait to see this fight, though. This is, like I said, this could be a main event on any Apex card of the rest of the year. So we're on opposite sides here, but neither of us are really doing much with it. I feel like I'm being scared here. I should just pull the trigger on Blanchfield, but it's one of those hindsight bets where I wouldn't be shocked no matter what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the line is about right. I mean, I personally would make it closer to a pick 'em, so I do think there's a little bit of value on Santos, but I don't know. I think Errens has the ability to finish this fight and make it look easy, like you said, but I just don't think it's gonna play out like that. I think it's gonna be a close one way or another, very close.
Yeah, I got Sean talking about the improvements for sure.
Yeah,
man.
she did.
Walking through those
for sure,
strikes,
she did.
Showing off durability too. That's something we were totally in the dark about. How is she gonna be able to withstand? Is she gonna get knocked out by Andrade? She walked through those punches like nothing and kept being aggressive. So
Andrade is taking a fight every 2 weeks now. So
yeah,
she's crazy.
She's making that money. Jenna Marie saying whoever's jiu-jitsu is the best. I say that's who wins. I totally agree with you for sure. That's kind of why I'm going with the Blanchfield side.
I'm a striker kind of guy, so whoever's the best striking, I'm going with.
Pink Floyd saying Tyla's been open about how anxiety cripples her and drove the Mara Romero Barella loss. I think it's been a worse year for her. Yeah, her anxiety is probably through the roof getting court subpoenas in the mail for not paying people that 6-figure salary she got last year.
I'm not looking at intangibles, okay?
Yeah, Pink Floyd's Pink Floyd's the intangible king right now, and I don't disagree. Man. So, Zach Singleton is here. I'm here, my guys. What's going on, Zach? I was wondering where you were at, man. MMA Premium, good to see you in here, man. Just recently followed this guy on Twitter as well.
Me too.
Looks like he's starting up a page giving out picks, handicapping fights. So everybody go check out MMA Premium on Twitter, man. Start building this guy's page.
I followed him too.
Man, somebody calling you out again, Sean, saying, Johnny, you're smarter than this.
Sean, come on, man. This is a close fight. You know it. You know it. I know everyone loves Aaron. I get it. Trust me. He's very good.
He sounds like he's betrayed. He's like, dude, you and I were both on Karine Silva. How do you do this to me? How do you do this to me?
A lot of people weren't, and we were. Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. You better be on Oliveira in October. I'll tell you that, because I trust me, it's gonna be a rough week for everybody.
Don't say that. Dad's saying Aaron a future champion. Don't disagree with you there. And calling me out saying, unless I'm heavily leaning on one side, don't bet this fight. Well, I'm not, so I'll be staying off of it. Thank you. We can move on to a very fun fight with a very good prospect. Rinya Nakamura, Japanese freestyle wrestling champion, takes on Fernie Garcia, a Mexican boxer. Bantamweight bout here. The 7-0 Rinya Nakamura has really not been showing his wrestling all that much. He's been knocking fools out on the feet and doing it with ease. And Fernie Garcia not having the best go of it. He just lost to Brady Heastand, who's a wrestle type of fighter in his last fight. Lost to Journey Newsome before that. So he's been 0-2 in the UFC after coming off the Contender Series with a nice round one knockout. But after that, he did knock down Brady Heastand in his last fight, I believe, but then got out-wrestled the rest of the fight. So Rinya Nakamura looks like he's being set up for a win, and as such, he is the minus 800 favorite. Fernie Garcia plus 550, the underdog here. Yeah, I mean, this would have to be a spot where Nakamura chases an early finish, fails to do so on Fernie Garcia, who's never been finished inside the distance before, gasses himself out somehow, or Fernie catches him in the early going with a punch. So I don't see that being very likely. I don't want to play a minus 800, guy who's had one fight in the UFC for 30 seconds, but I think Rinya Nakamura gets some done by some sort of finish, knockout or submission. I think he does it under 1.5 rounds. Not finding a lot of ways to play this one. Johnny, you got any more, like a precise prediction, like a crystal ball theory of how this one ends up?
Yeah, I just think Nakamura wins this fight, whether it's by knockout or however he wants, decision, whatever. But I'm gonna go with the finish one way or another. I like his wrestling a lot. I do think he's gonna be able to get this fight to the mat. If he likes his striking, sure, I think he can get the knockout here too. He's just super explosive, and I know Fernie's very durable, but he's not very dangerous at all either. So I think he's going to be there for a lot of shots. I think a lot of power shots early, going to be able to get him down to the mat and maybe ground and pound, whatever. So yeah, Nakamura here all day. I like the under 2.5. I got that early and they dropped it down to 1.5 in a parlay. I think that hits I don't see Fernie getting the finish, but let's say, like you said, Nakamura tries super early and he gasses himself out. Maybe Fernie does get like a submission or something when he leaves his neck out there trying to get a takedown or something like that. It could happen. It'd be crazy, but it could happen. So I like the under 2.5 here. I got it in a parlay. I think that's pretty safe. I wouldn't touch the minus 700, minus 800 on Nakamura, unfortunately. I think he wins, but he's not Holloway.
The under is what? Under 2.5 at minus 290 on Bet Online. What'd you get that at? Anything better than that, or is that?
I think it's about minus 300 actually when it first came out. I like it. It's chalky, but yeah, come on.
Yeah, we got
a good parlay piece.
Yeah, we got almost 100% finish rate for Rinya Nakamura. The one fight he did win by decision, he got like a big cut on his eye. He got injured in that fight and had to really grit out a gutsy performance that probably could have been stopped. And that was the one decision spot. So other than that, he's been smoking fools. I think
first round.
I think your under certainly cashes here, but as far as like props to play this, I just don't know. Aside from parlaying the under, don't really know what else to do with this, man. Like, what's the price?
You can try.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can try Nakamura round 1 or round 1 or 2. I don't know what the price is for that, but
it's just like I would have to chase like him doing a submission here, like around like a Rinya's submission is plus 350. But he seems to be really in love with his hands, so I don't feel comfortable doing that.
True.
Just as if to prove my point on DraftKings, Rinya Nakamura by KO minus 165, whereas the submission is plus 350. So the odds makers are following the trend that Rinya's been taking, which is just smoking fools on the feet. But yeah, what if Fernie has a moment where he like clips him and then he has to panic wrestle, take Fernie down, and then tap him out with a shoulder lock or something. Just a lot of assuming here, just trying to get like when you're trying to chop down these minus 800 numbers, you start getting really starry-eyed at these like, oh man, this is plus 350. What if this happens? Like any other world, this would be a plus 800 prop, you know? But so I hate falling into that trap. So I'm going to probably stay off this one, root for your under in this spot. But yeah, I think Fernie is.
I mean, if you're going to root for something, root for violence. That's what I say.
I think Fernie's definitely getting flown in for a loss here. I don't think they're really hyping him up. I think they want, and to be honest, I don't think it's all hype. I think Nakamura is extremely good. He's what everybody wants in MMA. A guy with an extremely strong wrestling pedigree who's got power in his hands, you know? So that's like the most scary, you know, UFC fighter, right? Somebody who's got the strong wrestling base. And now they've got the power in their hands to back it up. Good wherever the fight goes. Bantamweight division. This guy is entering in one of the toughest divisions. So he better bring his A game now. It's 7-0. And he's only been a pro in MMA for a couple of years, right? Like I think 2020. 2021.
I don't think it's been too much. He's been fighting pretty actively though.
Yeah, 2021 he had his first pro bout, and now he's already 7-0 as of February. So, yeah, man, I think he wins here. I think it's he's on the main card for a reason as well. You know, they're not putting this guy in the prelims 2 fights into his UFC career. They're putting him up on the main card, trying to get people to learn his name. So, yeah, let's see here.
And honestly, like Fernie's going to be his best test. If you want to look at it a different way,
yeah,
these guys that he's beating. I mean.
Yeah, Fernie Garcia never been finished. That's right. I mean, we know about that Mexican toughness, that Mexican chin. He could make this interesting, right? So we'll see here. MMA Premium leaning Nakamura round 1 as well. And so is Tyler from 138 MMA. So we got our guy Bert saying safe parlay. Max Holloway, Blessed, Nakamura, Bedoya, Aldrich. Yeah, dude. I mean, I know a lot of people are not high on parlaying JJ Aldrich in this spot, but dude, I think that's one of the better fights of the entire fight to target. Just because now Liang is like so bad, you know. A lot of times,
My thing is though, Aldrich shit the bed when she was a heavy favorite, and she's not dangerous. So you're like, she should finish Liang. If you're gonna finish someone, you're gonna finish Liang if you can survive 2 or 3 minutes of the first round, but we haven't seen it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Yeah, she should win. Should be an easy bet to cash. But man, a lot of people laid the minus 400 on her against Lipski, and she looked plus 600 or worse. She was awful.
Yeah, I get it, but that's because I think Lipski's pretty good, whereas now Liang, I just don't find her winning this fight. Like, I don't know. I could see Fernie Garcia winning his fight much more than I could see now Liang winning that fight, but I don't know. I'll go over it when I drop my YouTube short, my TikTok, my Instagram when I do the order of confidence, which is fun because I don't go with the betting odds at all. I just go on what I think is going to happen and how likely it is, and I usually have to weigh who's got the worst opponents and who's got the best skill set. And it's always a mix of both on those. So, that's kind of how I arrive at those. Oh, my God. Big money NJ in the house, dude. Dropping a $50 dono. I appreciate you, brother. Shouting us out on the Twitter earlier today. And it means a lot to me that you include, my thought process along with Johnny K and Cody and the other guys that you tagged as part of your, weekly analysis and making money. And I know what that is like to be on the other side of content creating. And before I did this, I was sitting there and, having my cigar in the park before the fight started, listening to Uncle Weezy, DFS by the numbers, guys like MMA Prediction Guru, who's on my show last week, Clint, it's a big part of the process, just listening to content creators, whether you agree with us or not, just getting your thoughts out there and hopefully brainstorming some good bets with you. So
just getting all the information from everybody. I mean, everyone's going to have something different, something you don't think about, different angles, different ways of thinking about fights. Like, not one way of thinking is the right way. Let's put it that way. The more you know, the better you can make your pick and analysis and research and everything. And that's what I do too. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of people that I would watch.
With my bets, I should say.
I'd watch their content and I totally disagree with whatever, everything somebody's saying, but they speak about it in a way where it's like, all right, you've just talked me onto the other side even more, and I appreciate that. So hopefully I can be that for you, man. Thank you, Big Money. I appreciate that dono. That helps out a lot for the channel.
Hell yeah.
And appreciate being part of your process, dude. So let's see here. We can, I can't believe people in the West Coast and even us in the Central Times would have to pull the all-nighter. We're right on the border, though, Johnny. We're like, 4 a.m. start time for our time zone. That's like just enough where I can sleep beforehand and get up early.
Yeah, like you can go to sleep at like 10 o'clock, or 11 maybe, wake up real quick and then go to sleep afterwards. After it's done for like a nap or two or a couple hours, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be the DD for a party that night too. So I think my girlfriend is going to somebody's, one of our friends' birthday parties, and I had agreed not to drink, heavily that night. So I'm gonna do it all in the morning. I'll be sober.
You go 4 o'clock. Let's go.
4 o'clock mimosas. Let's do it.
I'll be sleeping. I will get up and I will start drinking. I won't be watching.
Up next at featherweight, we got Giga Chikadze finally returning after a year and 8 months off. He takes on Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres, one of my favorite fighters on the roster. Featherweight bout between two strikers primarily, but Alex Caceres does have not only that slick Taekwondo style from the outside point fighting, but he's got a slick submission game. You can even go back to his roots. Go back to when he was in those organized backyard brawls with Dada 5000's league in Florida. They had like the outside roped off arena on the dirt, and you could see Alex Caceres on YouTube out there choking people out. So this guy's been a grappler as well as a striker for a long time, and in the UFC, he's finally hitting his stride, mixing things together well, and even pulling off big upsets against fighters like Sungwoo Choi. I'm not sure if he was he a favorite or an underdog against Daniel Pineda recently. Having competitive bouts with Sadiq Youssef.
So this guy's underdog, yeah.
Yeah, so he's really hitting his stride in the UFC, and it's good to see now that he's 12 years into his UFC career. This guy was on the GSP Koscheck season of The Ultimate Fighter at 20 years old. So he's 35 now, I think. So, pretty crazy that he's been in the league this long and been competitive. Giga Chikadze, a guy who's a former kickboxer, I got to take him to win this fight just because he's got more power. He's got the more accurate striking out of both stances. Better competition, faced and beaten so far, in my opinion. And as long as he can keep this fight on the feet and not get his back taken, I think he's good to win the fight. So I took him at minus 230 for 2.3 units to win one in return. I think Giga Chikadze has a smooth return here. I know he had some medical procedures after the Calvin Kattar loss a year and a half ago, but since then he's been just waiting for opponents. Sadiq Youssef, the Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega, they all fizzled out and just left him waiting for as long as it's been. So I think he's good to go. He's been preparing, and I think he could potentially knock out Alex Caceres, which hasn't been done that often. What do you think about this fight, and how does it play out?
I'm on the same side with you. I do think Giga gets it done, but I actually think this is going to be a close fight, and it's scaring me off the line and the betting it too. I like the over. I do think Caceres is very durable. He's actually, you would think he's not, but he's just a hard fighter to predict and like get a good read on. And Giga's a very good kickboxer, very good kicks, but Caceres is also, he's a veteran. He has those little tricks up his sleeve too. He can grapple, like you said. He's got some pretty decent submissions too. Giga is only going to be kickboxing. So, I think this fight plays out a lot closer than I think some people may think. But I do think Giga should be able to land the better shots, more damaging shots. And if Alex does get the grappling going and gets him, takes his back or something, then it's a different story. But I think 29-28 decision by Giga. I think I like the over here. I wouldn't pick a side. I do like the over. Both guys are pretty durable. I don't see a knockout, but the only finish that I could see is like a Caceres like rear naked choke in like a weird scramble or something like that up against the cage. And that could ruin the over. But I like the over. I think it's even a better price than picking Giga. So if you like that. But I don't have a bet on this fight. That's the only play that I would look at. This fight is the over 2.5.
Yeah, MMA betting mastermind in the house saying Bruce Leroy is legit. Good to see you, brother. And this guy certainly is legit, man.
I never am betting against that guy. I can't pick freaking Caceres fight to save my life or bet even. I lose every time I bet against him, so I'm just staying away.
I get the pleasure of this guy as one of my longtime favorites on the roster that's remained for a while. And if I bet against him, then it's a win-win for me because if I lose the bet, I'm really genuinely happy to see him win. And if I see him lose, then at least I get paid. So that's kind of the angle I'm coming with it. But dude, if this is a close fight, I think it's super dicey. And I think if it's close, it's in the favor of Caceres because the guy doesn't have much power. So I feel like if it's a close fight, I think it's Caceres climbing all over his back, like you mentioned. And what happened in the round 1 of Giga versus Calvin Kattar? It was Giga slipping off of a high kick and Kattar tackling the shit out of him and taking him to the mat where he controlled and wore him out. Kind of led to the pace of the fight going in the favor of Calvin Kattar, to be honest. So that can happen against Caceres. Like if Giga misses with a high kick, slips, Caceres is going to jump on his back like Aljamain Sterling and slip in those skinny arms into the throat of Chikadze and probably choke him out. Not a good spot there. Giga Chikadze has shown some flashes of brilliance on the mat himself, though. He's attempted some submissions before. I feel like that's something he's got to be working on. You know, he's mastered the kickboxing. All that's left is the grappling, right? So I just feel like there could be a finish. I feel like I'd be scared because we've seen spots where Alex Caceres has been knocked down. Remember the Sungwoo Choi fight we talked about earlier at the front of the card? He knocked down Caceres, had him on wobbly legs, and if it wasn't for throwing that illegal knee, probably would have TKO'd him within 1 round. So I think it's possible. When you look at the level of competition Caceres has been fighting, not always the best. Like there was a while they were feeding him guys off the Contender Series and, you know, really making him like a lower end of the division gatekeeper. Now they're kind of, every now and then they dabble and they give him somebody really good. And it never really goes too well, right? Like Alex had a 5-fight winning streak and then it finally went to Sadiq Youssef and he lost. His first knockout was at the end of last year against Julian Erosa, who, I'm sorry, Tyler, 138 MMA. I know that's your favorite fighter, but the guy's got like no chin, right? So even Alex Caceres is able to knock him out in 1 round, 3 minutes in. I was very shocked by that because the guy's had like 20-some fights, never knocked anybody out.
It wasn't even a good shot either. He went down like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, he sure did. So
getting you back, Tyler.
Yeah, I remember years ago seeing Francisco Rivera knock out Caceres with a left hook in round 1. That was back in 2015. Sad to see, but since then, I mean, not really facing the highest level of competition. So.
No, and he's losing by submission mainly when he gets finished, but you know, Giga's not going to get that submission. I don't think he is.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, we can move along. We are on the same side of that. I'm a bit more confident, and I put my cash behind it. But Johnny agrees with me, so I feel even better about that featherweight fight. We move on to the co-main event. Anthony Smith taking on Ryan Spann, part 2. This is a rematch of a fight that took place 2 years ago, where Anthony Smith capitalized on some sharp counters on the feet, basically flattened out Ryan Spann on the mat and choked him out all within 1 round, just in, I think, August of 2022. So we're running this one back, and what has really changed between these two guys besides... You know, Ryan Spann just getting caught by a submission of Krylov, knocking out a very far past his prime Dominic Reyes. That's about it. So more round 1 stoppages for Ryan Spann, which makes up the bulk of his wins and losses, all round 1 stoppages. Anthony Smith, not that much different. You know, the guy does his last 3 wins have all been in round 1. So I'm taking the under 1.5 here at minus 175. I have 1 unit on it. That's about as confident as I am. Find myself on the Smith side as an underdog just because I think that he can probably do it again. Like if Ryan Spann doesn't get an early knockout, I think he gets kind of like brawling and kind of easy to be countered by a sharp Muay Thai striker like Anthony Smith. So
it's a ton of mistakes too.
Yeah, it makes it a lot of mistakes. And remember the Krylov fight earlier this year? Like he went from
he taps immediately. He does not care.
No, he's like, I'm immediately done. I'm out. He falls into a triangle choke, and then taps out as soon as the thighs were around his cheeks. He's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. So, yeah. I mean, what do you think about this fight, man? Are you taking the stab on Anthony Smith as a dog?
I do like Anthony Smith to win, and I'm not saying like, you know, he's on this new rejuvenation kick here and he's gonna make a last title run. But I can tell you one thing, I can for sure, I do not trust Ryan Spann at all. So he is a glass cannon. He's going to be able to finish people early, and he's going to get finished if he can't. So Smith is durable. I mean, I know he's a tough guy. Let's put it that way. I don't want to say he's durable. He's been knocked out and stuff a pretty decent amount of times and finished. But yeah, I think he can survive. It's just like 2-3 minutes, maybe some scrambles and stuff here and there. If, for whatever reason, it goes down to the mat. But after that, like Ryan Spann's going to quit. And I think Anthony Smith should be able to get a submission again, kind of maybe the same way it happened in the first fight. Yeah, they both got older, but I think the same thing happens. I don't think either one got better, but I still think Anthony Smith is better. He might have declined a touch, but I don't think it's that much to the point where Ryan Spann gets it done unless Anthony Smith does something really stupid early in the first round, because we've seen Ryan Spann do a lot of stuff stupid in the first round, and he either gets away with it and gets a knockout, or he doesn't and he gets finished. So one way or another, love the under 1.5. Got that in a parlay as well. And I'm just going to go with Anthony Smith to win. I think he gets a submission late first round.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it finishes the same way as before. Ryan Spann is a guy who, he might be technical to start, get in range technical, and then as soon as he lands or gets excited, gets things going, he just starts brawling. Very big, imposing guy physically, but dude, Anthony Smith is pretty big too. And he so far at 205, the guy's been pretty durable. Like a lot of his knockout losses that you've seen in his record are way earlier in his career at 185 on his way up in the Iowa regional scene. As he's gotten more towards the UFC's elite, as he's gotten more in the 205s, he's not been really finished except for like late into fights, right? So I think he's good. Now, losing to Johnny Walker by decision, that is not a good look, because I think that was only the second time Johnny Walker's ever won a decision.
That was weird.
It's very strange. Very, very strange. So not a good look there, but I think Johnny Walker is actually, he beat Ryan Spann himself, and I think he's a lot faster, a lot harder to close range on, and you never know what Johnny Walker's doing, so it's hard to confidently approach him aggressively, right? Ryan Spann, I think, is going to leave a lot of openings. So, yeah, taking that under 1.5. Should I have gone heavier on that? I put 1 unit on it. I just don't like playing under 1.5. So when I play them light.
Honestly, I'm pretty confident that hits. I would put maybe one more if you want to, just to make it a 2 to win a little bit more than 1. Ooh. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't say put like 5 units on it or something. But
max bet it.
I'm confident. I have it in a parlay. That's not the biggest confidence there, but I think it's gonna hit, which is why I put it in a parlay. Otherwise, I just play it single just in case. But I think it hits.
Yeah. Burton here talking about the Smith on the decline. Hard to back him with your money on a decline. Talking about his mindset.
Yep.
Won't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if he retires either. He's got that desk gig lined up.
And that's why I kind of didn't play a side. I just played the under, because someone getting finished in the first round.
Yeah, and Tyler saying he doesn't understand how people can be in the Spans after watching their first fight, which wasn't all that long ago. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're totally right. Shady is putting his money on Anthony Smith at a plus money tag. Eli in the chat, you are a bit late, my friend, but it's always right on time when you arrive, my friend. You're never late.
Correct.
You arrive precisely when you mean to. So, I agree with everything that's been said. I might take your advice and add on to that under 1.5. I'm feeling more confident about it now. When you look at all their records, you look at how many times they've been finished in round 1 a piece.
It's almost, I hate to say it, but it's almost like pretty much one of my most confident plays of the card. Let's put it that way.
I thought you were going to say the L word.
Without saying the L word. I don't like saying it because I don't believe in it, but I did. But there is one coming up in this fight too, which is the closest thing to an L you can say.
Speaking of people that I'm always happy to have everybody in the chat. All 27 of you are great, but where's Dev the dude? Where's MMA Jesus with my locks?
Yeah, where is Mr. AK?
Is he busy watching rigged fights in the PFL?
PFL. Is he winning?
Somebody check Twitter and
I'm gonna look on. Yeah, I'm gonna check Instagram to make sure I want to see the word
search the word rigged.
Rigged.
Search recent posts.
Yeah, recent post rigged.
All right, man. We have done it. We have done all 12 fights. We have 1 left. Smash the like, smash the subscribe. Check the description for JohnnyKpicks' links in the description. We've got Max Holloway taking on Chan Sung Jung, featherweight main event. Former champion Max Holloway, one of the greatest fighters of all time, one of the greatest featherweights of all time. Chan Sung Jung, a legend in not only a couple of WEC bouts, but in the UFC, always has classic fights, a 2-time title challenger at the weight class. Now we've got a very big money line in the favor of Max Holloway. Minus 800 for Max Holloway, Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, at plus 550. And I did a full 10-minute video on just this fight in general earlier in the week. And Johnny, I failed to find many ways where Chan Sung Jung was a superior fighter to Max Holloway, except for just the raw power. The raw finishing power goes to Chan Sung Jung. He's got a lot of round one stoppages, and even the club and sub potential, I think, is in the favor of Chan Sung Jung. I know we've seen Max Holloway jump guillotine. I think his grappling's underrated a bit, but Chan Sung Jung, he's always going for front chokes and things like that, at least searching for it when he gets his opponents hurt. Even against Dan Ige, showing off some grappling there. So I could give him those two advantages, but against Max Holloway, who's knocking this guy out, much less knocking him down, never been finished by strikes. So kind of takes that off of the table. So I am on the Max Holloway side. It's just like, now we're at the point of like, how does he do it? When does he do it? Does he finish the fight? Does he take it into championship rounds? How does he break a new significant strike record? Does he go for 500 this time? Break his record against Calvin Kattar? Like what is the finishing potential, and at what point do you think this fight goes to? Do you think it goes over 2.5?
I would say yes. Now, and this is the reason why, because I always say this: Max Holloway, if there was not a Volkanovski in his division, or in the division, Max Holloway would be the champion still to this day.
Yeah.
And I always rank, or I look at how Volkanovski did against that person if they both fought or whatever. So Volkanovski was able to finish him in the 4th round, I believe, or 5th. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 4th.
4th, yep.
So I'm going to say Holloway gets him done in the 5th round or by decision, because he's just one step behind Volkanovski and everything. Max has good volume. He doesn't really have that crazy knockout power. He's crazy durable with crazy cardio. He doesn't care if he gets hit. He just keeps pushing forward. And we've seen the zombie fight against Volkanovski was so sad. It just didn't look like him at all. And I don't know if it was because, I don't want to say washed, but maybe it finally hit that like brick wall, or it was just Volkanovski being Volkanovski. We'll find out early in the 1st round. I don't think there's going to be a finish until maybe like I said, 4th, 5th decision prop, if you want to look at that. I like that. Or I have Max Holloway the minus 5.5 spread. I think he's going to dominate this fight. He's going to win either 49-46 or 50-45, maybe even a 50-44 sprinkled in there. So I do think the spread hits, or he gets a finish. That'll hit too. You can just cut that 800 number in half. And also I got the 800 in a parlay too, just to get it above plus money, because I think that's the closest L word you're going to get on this card, because he's just that much better. I don't see a way that Korean Zombie wins this fight, unfortunately. And that's just where I'm at. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
Totally
I'm sad now. Thank you.
There. It's funny because earlier this year we were talking about Max Holloway, and at least I was kind of like, how much more damage can this guy take? He was taking on an up-and-coming Arnold Allen, who hits pretty hard, a pretty decent finisher, and a guy who had looked pretty unstoppable at that point, even sprinkling in some wrestling in his game. But, he went through Arnold Allen in rounds 1 through 4 quite easily, right? Landed a lot of strikes on him, beat him pretty clearly, and then in round 5, finally Arnold Allen sort of woke up, but it was too late.
Which was crazy.
Yeah, right. So in this spot, no conversation about that, because we saw not only is Max Holloway still, in his prime at 31 years old, not only is he not declining, but now we've got a guy who sort of probably is declining a bit, right? And the Korean Zombie, who's notably older by 5 years and has taken a lot of punishment too. So there's really no conversation about is Max Holloway, still got it or not in this fight. And I agree with you, but I'm playing all the time props. So I've got 2 units on the over 2.5 at minus 225. I did take that 4-5 decision prop as well, minus 130.
Like
I don't think it's out on FanDuel yet, but what I did was I put it on DK, which you can do if you just do the over
same game parlay.
Yeah, do the same game parlay of Max Holloway over 900.
How many minutes or whatever? Yeah,
over 900 seconds.
Minus 130.
Minus 130 for that. Yep.
I like that.
Which is what I had written.
Money on that.
That's what I was looking for the FanDuel prop. I assumed it would be around minus 130. And then I actually went a step further and took 1 unit on Holloway by decision at plus 165. So I've kind of cascaded it where as long as it goes over 2.5, I'll cash that. If it, and profit, right? So if it ends in championship rounds, I'll profit by a unit or more. If it goes all the way to decision, we're making some pretty good change on that one. But if it ends early before 2.5 rounds, I'm screwed on all 3 of them. So luckily for Max Holloway and myself, I think the last like 12 to 14 fights have gone over 2.5 for Max. And as far as going to decision, his last 8 in a row have all gone the full 25. So hopefully we get like a Keith Peterson or like somebody who just falls asleep and wants to see violence in this spot and doesn't mercy stop it. If we get somebody squeamish like a Herb Dean in there, this might end within like 1 or 2 rounds. I don't want that. I want somebody who has some thick skin. I want a Mark Goddard in there, perhaps. Mark Goddard likes some violence. So what other referees do you think are kind of like masochistic? Which ones do you see in there?
I know as of late, Jason's been helping me out with some overs. He's been a little nice to me. I can't remember the fights, but I was like, okay, Jason, you got the over as well. We're on the same page. I think that's about. I mean, Herb Dean, he's a wild card. Keith can let it go for a while, and then I don't know who else is going to be there. So I would say more so Jason and Keith than Herb. Because Herb's a wild card. He could be like, stop, and you're like, what are you doing?
Shout out to Mario Yamasaki back in the day. He was always good at letting him go.
Where's that Russian guy?
Steve
in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, yeah. Vyacheslav Kislyev. Yeah, that guy was awesome. My favorite referee.
Ooh.
Super
I was not
fun.
happy with that guy, I tell you that.
Yeah, Real Fight Picks, MPTV in the house saying, I can't see how Yarno beats Choi. Patrick needs to switch his pick. Now I'm getting shit. People have been crapping into your picks all night. Now I'm getting it.
I have Yarno too, so people are still crapping on my picks. What are you talking about, Patty? I can't back Choi after that 3-fight debacle. He looked like crap each fight, and it got worse and worse. He's on the decline, literally.
I won't be surprised no matter how that one goes.
I wouldn't be surprised if he wins because he does have good striking, but I'm telling you, he could be winning a round like clearly, and then he'll get rocked and dropped and he'll lose that round. So I'm not going to be confident picking or betting him, especially to win that fight. Because how is he going to win the fight? Probably by decision because Jarno I don't think he's ever been knocked out. I can look real quick, but so Choi's not the greatest knockout guy either.
Yeah, Shady's got these Hawaiian guys coming through, Tavares and Holloway. And by the way, Shady, hope everything is okay with you over in all I see is headlines about how Hawaii is doing these days. Hopefully you're staying safe over there.
For sure. Yeah.
But Yarno. Yeah, I don't know about this guy. I'm banking on potential. I got him at plus 180, less than a unit on the play. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, max over 1.5 feels like the safest, best value for parlays. Most likely, dude. Most likely. But that wraps up max 13.
Just do max and the over 1.5.
Just do max and the over 1.5. And what does that even chop it down to? Does that chop it down to?
I would say maybe like under minus 300, maybe. I don't know exactly, but
Lou Betya is spinning in his urn right now, just rolling over.
He loves it. Just throw that down with another minus 300, with a minus 800, with a minus 4,000. He loves those bets.
All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out with us. JohnnyKpicks, thank you so much for hanging out with me, drinking an old-fashioned, breaking down some fights, dude. Hopefully you have a good time this weekend, getting a nice little getaway vacation, canoeing, getting some nice outdoors time as we sweat out our bets for you back home here. So let the people know where they can find you. I know you got your live stream tomorrow night. Whose channel is it on this week?
Yeah, it's going to be on my channel this week, but as always, thank you for having me on your show. Always appreciate it. Always have fun with you, talking fights and having good times with the chat. But you can find me at JohnnyKpicks on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I do breakdowns on Sunday nights or Monday nights, depending on my busyness and on the weekend. Tomorrow night, like Patty said, me and Cody from Blood Money MMA Bets, we'll be doing our live stream on my channel, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also, we usually do pre-fight live streams on Saturday. This week, I will not be attending, but Cody will be doing something. He told me, I don't know if it's going to be on Friday. I don't know if he's going to wake up super early and do a watch along. So find out tomorrow if you want to join in. He'll tell you probably on the live stream tomorrow when we're on. And good luck to everybody in their bets. I hope everybody has fun. I'm going to be in Michigan on a canoe. I'll wake up and look at my bets, and I'll probably be happy or sad. hopefully happy.
I mean, I like watching the fights, obviously, but there is sometimes it feels less stressful when you got a lot of plays on the card and you're like, oh, I can sheepishly look at my phone and see if I cash it or not.
Dude, this is what's going to happen. I know it. Like there's going to be at least 1 or 2 guys that are still going to be up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning drinking. I'm probably going to be one of them, and I'm going to be looking at my phone trying to see if I want to bet or not, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to be worrying about my bets while I'm trying to go to sleep. It's just going to be a bad night.
Can't wait for that. Thank you all in the chat. Big Money NJ. Again, thank you for the dono, man. Appreciate you, brother. Pink Freud,
Yes,
Ryan
sir.
Jordan, Eli, Real Fight Picks, MPTV, Any Action Sportscast, 138 MMA, all of the hard hitters.
Don't forget that shoey, Effie.
We had a great time. Don't forget your shoey, Effie. We'll be looking out for that on your show this week. And everybody go subscribe to JohnnyKpicks if you don't know who this man is. You are missing out. One of the best in the game. Good luck on all of your betting action. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Later.